Chapter 17. Even when it reaches the ultimate end, there is nothing worth revealing.
A few days later, the assembly for the Dharma was held again. Subhuti bowed, so that his head touched the Buddha's feet, returned and sat down. After a while, Subhuti got up, put his right knee on the ground, and made his palms together. And Subhuti asked the Buddha a question regarding the Dharma. Buddha, how do good people, who have aroused the mind of Anuttara, Samyak, Sambodhi, stay focused, practice, and achieve surrender from their minds? The Buddha told Subhuti, good people should cultivate the following mindset in conjunction with the mind of Anuttara, Samyak, Sambodhi. Even when all the burning fires of existence have been extinguished by me, without leaving a single one behind, there must be a thought that the remaining fires must be extinguished. This is a very compressed expression. Since Subhuti asked a similar question on the first day, the Buddha gave a different answer, this time through a parable. The Buddha expressed the distracted mind of all beings as burning fire, and the enlightenment of the enlightened person as extinguished fire. After completely extinguishing the burning hearts of all beings by me, because the thought that I conveyed the Dharma is also like a burning heart on fire, it means that even that fire should be completely extinguished without remaining. The Buddha continued to tell, and there must be an idea that putting out a fire completely is the same as not putting out a fire completely. If so, what could be the reason? Subhuti, if a good person thinks, I helped others, and then reveals or praises himself, attachment arises in his own soul. In this way, there is no Dharma that reveals the mind of Anuttara, Samyak, Sambodhi. When there was Lotus Lantern Buddha in my previous life, what kind of Dharma would have given me Anuttara, Samyak, Sambodhi? Subhuti replied, no, Buddha. In the Buddha's previous lives, there is no Dharma that enabled the Buddha to attain Anuttara, Samyak, Sambodhi. The Buddha told, that's right, Subhuti. The enlightened one has actually found Anuttara, Samyak, Sambodhi without any Dharma. If there was a certain Dharma, and it was found, Lotus Lantern Buddha would not have prophesied, you will surely become a Tathagata in the future world, and your name will be Shakyamuni. However, since there was no Dharma in reality, I sought Anuttara, Samyak, Sambodhi, and that's why Lotus Lantern Buddha prophesied, you will surely become a Tathagata in the future, and your name will be Shakyamuni. Because Tathagata, another name for the enlightened one, means a state of Dharma that does not arise. Subhuti, you must clearly understand that the highest truth is that which does not arise, is not formed, and does not undergo samsara. If someone says, Anuttara, Samyak, Sambodhi has become a certain Dharma, firmly established by the Tathagata, the enlightened one, he is lying and using untruths to slander me. This is because the Enlightened One, found Anuttara, Samyak, Sambodhi, due to the absence of an established Dharma. In the Dharma presented by Tathagata, there is neither truth nor falsehood. Therefore, Tathagata says that all dharmas are the dharmas of enlightenment, or the dharmas of Buddhism. Subhuti. What is the reason for that? Because it has been explained by Tathagata that the Dharma is the same as the non-Dharma. Therefore, all Dharma becomes the Dharma of enlightenment. For example, it is the same reason that a certain being is great. At that time Subhuti spoke to the Buddha. What the Buddha meant was that great beings are called great beings because great beings are not great beings. Again, the Buddha told Subhuti, if a good person says, I will surely extinguish the burning hearts of all beings, he is not a good person. Because those who do not stay in the Dharma of enlightenment are called good person or Bodhisattva. Subhuti. Since it has been explained by Tathagata that all beings are the same as non-existence, that's why Tathagata calls them all beings. In this way, all the dharmas of enlightenment are connected to the no-self, that there is no fixed soul entity. The Buddha continued to tell Subhuti, if a bodhisattva says, I will surely make this world holy and beautiful with the Dharma of enlightenment, then it cannot be called a bodhisattva. Because the holy and beautiful world has been shown by Tathagata to be the same as the unholy and not beautiful world. That's why it is called a holy and beautiful world. If a bodhisattva has mastered the no-self, Tathagata will call him a bodhisattva.
Chapter 18. Tathagata sees all the actions of the mind as if he were looking at the palm of his hand.
Does Subhuti know about the 5 eyes? Subhuti replied, that's right, Buddha. The 5 eyes are the first, the eyes of body; the second, the eyes of heaven; the third, the eyes of wisdom; the fourth, the eyes of Dharma; and the fifth, the eyes of enlightenment. Then, does Subhuti think that Tathagata has 5 eyes? That's right, I know that the Buddha has 5 eyes. The Buddha sees the elimination of the distinction between subjective and objective with the eyes of the body. The Buddha sees the samsara of all beings and the Buddha's nature with the eyes of heaven. With the eyes of wisdom, the Buddha eliminates ignorance and gains insight into all things through no self. With the eyes of the Dharma, the Buddha sees the elimination of attachment to the Dharma of enlightenment. And because the eyes of enlightenment are clear and clean, the Buddha sees the whole as perfect and bright. Does Subhuti remember the grains of sand in the Ganges river? That's right, Buddha. I remember. What the Buddha spoke about grains of sand. Then Subhuti, if there are as many Ganges rivers as there are grains of sand in Ganges river, and there are worlds equal to the number of grains of sand in all Ganges rivers, can it really be said that there are many? Subhuti replied, that's right, Buddha, there are unimaginably infinite numbers. The Buddha told Subhuti, Tathagata sees the flow of the various minds of all beings with 5 eyes completely in also many worlds. The flow of the mind that the Tathagata says is the same as not the flow of the mind. So that's why the mind is saying that it flows. Because the mind of the past cannot be grasped, the mind of the future cannot be grasped, and the mind of the present cannot be grasped. Here is a supplementary explanation about this. Since the mind is not an object of perception, it cannot be grasped. This is as if a phantom-like being, created by a magician, is trying to figure out the magician's hidden intentions. Escaping from the 9 prisons of the mind by seeing through the workings of the mind is the most important task given to existence.